Welcome to our second oral history workshop. And thank you so much, Shatha, for taking time to work with us. Shatha works at a museum in Dearborn, Michigan. And some of you were here in the last workshop we had, but some of you weren't. So and so we appreciate your time. We also have a few important guests. We have Shalana Brown, who is the head of cultural education in the Virgin.
But thank you.
Susan Beach, who is a part of the Society of Virgin Island Historians, the president of the Society of Virgin Islands Historians is over there, and they just published a book about her life in New England and St. Croix. So thank you for coming. And Liz Goggins is back there. Liz Goggins is the executive director of the Virgin Islands and Palestinian Friendship Association. And when she came the last time, she said, "Why don't you have snacks?" And I said, "I don't know, because I don't do snacks." But she also, whenever we have plays, because I'm involved in CCT, she as a Rotarian, they would always have snacks for us at the end of performances, and I really appreciated that. But I don't organize snacks. I guess I just eat them. Important. Yeah. So just to let you know, the first workshop we had in September focused on, in general, the process of oral history, as well as the Arab American National Museum, where Shatha is a community historian. And the feedback that students gave us, when they learned about history, they learned about geography, they learned about careers in museum work. And just when I was leaving Atlanta, I went to the High Museum, and I said, I want to work in a museum. I really want to work in a museum, as well as the process of oral history. This workshop or presentation is going to focus on creative models of oral history, and which is perfect timing for my class. People are working on going to be working on their oral histories in a week or so. So just to see what's possible out there. Shatha does a lot of workshops with schools and organizations all over the place, so she's well versed in that. Just to give you a little background in our collaboration. So I've been at UVI for a couple of years, and I started doing oral history stuff in my English 101 class. And I used the collections of Richard Schrader and Karen Turland in Friendship Association, Liz Goggins, and Mr. Hussein. And Shatha began to do a few interviews. How many have you done, Shatha?
4, working on the 5th right now.
So she's done a fair number, and she agreed to do workshops for free for us, and she's coming in November to be part of the Virgin Islands Palestinian Friendship Day, where she hopes to do a mini oral history workshop for families so that they can do their own oral history work, and maybe do interviews with people who aren't so comfortable doing interviews on Zoom. And so we really hope to build that because it's really important to tell everybody's story counts, And St. Croix is really unique for the flow of people, I'm interested in the Filipino immigration, we have written about that. One of the things that struck me about this conference that I went to this year, where Shatha and I and Dr. Rezendi presented the work we were doing, was the range of ways that oral history is used in different departments within universities. There were people from all over the world who go to this. I just thought I'd bring the program just to show students for what it's like. So you're asked to present, and then there are all these other sessions going on for 3 or 4 days, and you go to them and you learn stuff, right? And so one of the things that struck me is that some universities have oral history department, and then they work with the other departments. So that School of Education integrates oral history and how they look at the history of education, so they connect students who are in the School of Education with retired teachers. Or nurses, the School of Nursing, there was a presentation from the University of Pennsylvania. And they integrate that way to a business, the School of Design. So oral history is integrated as a pedagogy or as a way of studying things, because it as you know, as you're starting to learn, it requires you to ask questions, right? You think of questions. You have to listen deeply to the person who's talking so that you can ask follow-up questions, right? And so it's a really great practice. So we're seeing universities across the country integrate in how they teach and how they approach topics. And I think that's, from my perspective as working at the university, that's really, really significant. So anyway, that said, I'm gonna turn it over to my friend, Betsy, Dr. Rossetti is gonna introduce Shatha. Dr. Rossetti, you're up. And I'm gonna text Sharon to see if she can turn this sound off.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I need to introduce
I did.
Liz Groggins.
Yep, I did.
Liz Groggins has brought us some sweets today,
I said that.
and right here, these cookies are from Damascus, Syria.
Oh, wow.
Okay, these Alibaba chocolate bars, wafer bars from Palestine, and these Giro.
Those are date cookies. My favorite. I love date cookies.
Date cookies are from
Fine.
the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Could you sign in right there? That'd be great.
So these here are to go with
Welcome.
this workshop, and I think that was very appropriate. Thank you very much, Liz.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Liz. Sure. No M&Ms or bimbos for us. We get real stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I am a firm believer in snacks.
I know that.
Yes,
I know that.
okay. As she said, I'm president of the Society of Virgin Islands Historians, and I just want to do an introduction first that the Palestinians that we see today are not the first wave, second wave, third wave of Palestinians. Palestinians, Syrians, Lebanese came to St. Croix in the 20s and the 30s with the first waves of Palestinians and other Arab Americans. And one group of people, Jose Shabab.
There's two seats right here. Oh, but we'll have more chairs in the circle.
Okay. Jose Shabab was a Lebanese merchant, who came to St. Croix. His father was a merchant marine who came to Puerto Rico. And then they migrated when he was 5 months or so to St. Croix. His father had a dry goods store on Company Street, 40 Company Street. And he worked in the store. His father died when he was 12 and he quit school. He was at St. Mary's School. He quit school to work with his father, as most people would have to do during those days. He then set up a bigger merchant goods dry goods shop on Company Street and with Puerto Rican goods. So he was interested in selling Puerto Rican goods that he was used to. And he also, when he was older, he purchased land in Mount Washington East and became a stock farmer. He ran for the municipal county office and served the people of the Virgin Islands. He had 2 children, Simon and Elena, and they have children and they live in the Virgin Islands.
And I ran marathons with Elena when I was much more fit. I'm a friend first.
And another person is Joseph Alexander, and everybody remembers him having a gas pump on King Street, right on the sidewalk at King Street by Market Square. I remember that in 72 when I came. And when the owners stopped and filled up their tanks with gas. Joseph also ran for public office, and he was in the municipal council. And his nephew now owns Nadia's Castle. Does everybody know where Nadia's Castle is?
No.
In East End, that big white Oriental looking castle. Hurry.
Contessa's
The
Castle.
Contessa's Castle, her name is Tanya. High on the hill in East End. So that's a little bit of something about early Arab Americans that came to the St. Croix. All right, and now to the business at hand, Shatha. Shatha and all of us have been together all last week. Shatha is probably sick of seeing us.
No,
And-
No.
No.
never.
All right, and she's a community historian at the Arab American National Museum based in Dearborn. She's been in touch with Ahmed Bakir, Rahirius Taha, and others to document Palestinian American stories in the US Virgin Islands. She is working on an oral history project in collaboration with Denise Blanchette from the University of Virgin Islands community members. The oral history interview will be recorded via Zoom, and the questions will be asked about immigration, childhood, education, career, and more. The idea is to get a comprehensive story of the narrator's life. The interview takes 45 to 90 minutes, is digitally recorded and stored in the museum's permanent archives for many generations to come. So I present to you Shatha.
Thank you. And just so you know, Dr. Resendi added stuff from, she presented some of this in Atlanta, but she already added more details between last week and this week. Oh, she's a historian, that's what she does. Okay, great.
All right, thank you for the really nice intro, Betsy and Denise. I will just jump in and share my screen. Yeah, so we're on. Everyone can see my screen, hear me. So, thank you all for attending. I'm so happy to see a full room, actually, of individuals interested in oral history work, and also Arab Americans and stories from that region. So first, I'll start with that. Thank you all for attending. Okay, and so yeah, it was me and my colleague George Hadab that were supposed to present this, but unfortunately, right before this, he told me he was feeling unwell and had to go to the hospital. So apologies, but his spirit is with us in this presentation. Betsy already did a really good intro of me. Again, I'm Shatha Najim. I work as a community historian at the museum, just really focused on oral histories. I've been doing oral histories for the past like almost 4 years. Mostly work in the Metro Detroit area, sometimes travel, but mostly local. So that's me. Okay, and so you might be wondering why Arab Americans? Why do we have to pay attention to Arab stories? And why is it important? So some points I put up. So Arab Americans have a rich history and culture and have been immigrating to the US since the late 19th century. So they have a long history of migration to this country, and their history is really important to preserve. Also, the current political climate in the MENA Swana region, basically the Arab world, makes historical documentation even more important. So if you're familiar at all with what's going on in the region, there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of loss in the region of human life, but also of materials. So it's very important to document those stories as they're happening. And sorry, let me move this. Okay, and also we want to capture authentic stories and experiences from the homeland and the diaspora. So after people move out from their homeland, what happens, their journey, we really want to capture all these nuances, these details of it all. So oral history does that. Okay. And so today's presentation is really like I feel, especially if you attended the last one, it was more about introducing what oral histories are and how we do them at the museum, why they're important. But this one, I really wanted to focus on presenting different methods of documenting oral history. So like what can it look like basically as a project? I hope to give you some inspirations for doing this work and to get creative with it. So you'll see from some of the examples. So the main method I use at the museum is really just audio recording. So I audio record a lot, mostly for practical reasons, to be honest. Storage, like video recordings, just take a lot of storage. So storing the files, moving them, making sure they're backed up, all these things works just much better with the audio. Of course, depending on the project, I do video. I've done video interviews before, just not as many as the audio. My current favorite actually is Zoom recording, which is a lot of it came from working with the project in the Virgin Islands, and not being able to reach people, but like we can reach each other through Zoom. It's really wonderful. So and you get video, audio together and in smaller storage unit. So it works really great. Um, Also, another method we've done at the museum is digital scrapbooks, and I'm kind of going to go over it a little bit later. A very creative method of doing narratives and oral histories, and you'll see using family photographs. Also, last one I put on there is social media reels and posts. A lot of you are young people on social media platforms. And so I think this could be a good approach to sharing oral history and the projects you're working on. So, and I also put time frame for each one. So just to give you an idea that like oral histories, doesn't have to be intimidating. Like you're not just gonna sit all day with one individual and record like multiple conversations nonstop. Like it doesn't have to be like that. It can be much shorter, can be more casual. Yeah, so definitely different approaches to it, and I hope the time frame shows you that you can be creative with it as well. Okay, and I'll show you an example, one of my favorites that I've done recently with Firas.
I need to say the full name, but yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Firas. So it's definitely a long journey to get to where my family's from, all the way to the Virgin Islands. So my father's Palestinian, my mother's Egyptian. And our story is very interesting. So we made our way to the Virgin Islands by way of my dad's side. My dad was born and raised in a village in Palestine called Sinjil in the Ramallah area, central Palestine in the Judean hills. He was born in 1950. He was one of 9 siblings, excuse me, and he had multiple older brothers, younger sisters, and a younger brother. And so his older brothers, around the time of 1948 and kind of that whole time frame, found their way, like many Palestinians, to South America, in Brazil. And just like with any immigrant family, you guys know how it works. When one person from that community makes it, everyone from that community makes their way over there. And so they were in Brazil and they got wind of island in the Caribbean that was a U.S. territory, right? Which it was a lot of, there was a lot of excitement around that. Not only is it a Caribbean island, the weather is beautiful. It's a small, homey vibe similar to our villages back in Palestine, but it's a U.S. territory, right? And so by basically one person from my uncle's friend group found their way there. He found his way there. And my other uncle found their way there. And eventually in 1980, my dad found his way there. And so my dad was 30 years old when he moved to St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And kind of how now the rest of the clan got there. And so my dad started off working at his brother's store, my uncle's store, as a clothes salesman. Did very well, and after a year, my uncle returned to manage the store. And so my father basically found himself looking for more. He did not want to always be in somebody's shadow. He wanted to really pave his own way, and he wanted to control his own destiny. I'm just going to rely on Allah, and inshallah, I'm going to make it. And so he started. He started in the town of Christiansted, going door to door selling clothes. And, it was very important for him to let me know that he only started off with $10. And so when you start off with that little bit of revenue, it's really hard to get inventory to sell. Mm-hmm. So the way he went about it is, at the time, there was a sizable Arabic community in St. Croix. And so he'd go to just anyone and say, hey, what can you give me, right, in terms of credit? Whether it was $1, $5, $100, he'd take it, right? And he wouldn't stop there. He'd go to all of his friends. And next thing you know, he had enough inventory to start to sell, pay people back, and make some money.
Okay, so that's Firas, just really talking about his journey and his father's journey and making his career, and the challenges that he had also doing that and overcoming it. Mostly through community and helping each other, which is a theme that came up a lot also in my interviews. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk a little bit about digital oral history scrapbooks. So basically, digital scrapbooks are a collection of scanned photographs and materials accompanied by oral history narration that are put together using a sort of photo editing software. I usually use iMovies. It's easy. Some people do Photoshop or whatever they have. Basically, you're creating a short digital video clip that tells a story. And so the museum, we've been doing this, it was actually before my time, but they were starting to do this project since 2015. And it was really inviting the community to come together, come like to the library. Just we had a scanner and like a mic and a recorder, and basically invited people to bring their old photographs and scan them and record a story using those photographs. And then the like a staff would help them put it all together, or they would do it themselves into a short clip. Those I do not have time to show one today, but they are found on the museum website, and I'm happy to connect with anyone after to share those. Um, so yeah. So basically, how you do it again is first you need to have a story. So you need to be in contact with someone who's willing to share their story, sit down with you, tell you about their life. That's if you're not doing one for yourself and your family, but if you're doing it for someone else, which you definitely can. And second, you need to have photographs, materials to scan, visuals basically you're looking for. And you need to have some sort of computer, like photo editing software, some access to that. Um, Again, it could be very simple. It could be an app that you download on your phone as well. And then you need to have a scanner and a recorder to do this. And then essentially putting it all together. And then you have a scrapbook. And usually those are much shorter. So a lot of people do those and like to share on social media and things like that. So it's a very fun project using oral history that you might want to think about. So publishing, it doesn't have to be complicated. Again, we publish on YouTube, which is, free. So you're not paying any subscription or anything. Anyone can view YouTube. You can organize it into playlists. You can put like categories. That way you also don't have the hassle of like downloading a certain app or, again, paying anything like that. And then again, the point is to share the oral histories, right? To share it with community, with friends, with people you know. And so you're getting comments, you're getting likes. People can connect to it that way. Obviously, I put a con because everything has one. But for me, YouTube, it's really great, but it does need maintenance, and like you need to keep track of the links and making sure that they're not broken over time, which might happen. And also the privacy settings are limited. So if you're make sure you're getting full consent and everything to be publishing before doing that. Okay, this was George's project actually. So he was part of this group called the Ramallah Preservation Project, American Federation of Ramallah, Palestine. So it's basically a nonprofit that focused on documenting stories from Palestinians that are coming to the U.S. from Ramallah in Palestine and their journey, and like why they left home, how did they come here, how did they decide where to stay. Yeah, basically oral histories going over that experience. So he was working on it, and he created an Instagram page for this, and he would also like publish. He did YouTube, but also he would do reels, like short, very short, like a minute or two clips of the oral histories, and that made it really easy to share out with people. And so, like, you would get like a short clip, fun clip, you'd be interested, and then you would go and find out and click through the longer interview, and you would listen to it. But yeah, it's something that is very fun. Instagram, social media pages to share oral histories. I've been seeing a lot of younger people starting their own oral history projects on Instagram, and I'm just loving it because it's very DIY and it's very approachable. It's very easy to do. So yeah, that's one option. Again, George. George is not here, unfortunately, but I'll try my best to present his exhibit that he recently did in Ohio. He's based in Cleveland, and this was a space that he got I think a grant for to do with the artist Leila Khouri. So his project is basically this is you see an exhibit, but it was basically based on oral histories. So the way he would archive and digitize his family photographs was done at the same time as doing oral histories with his family. A little bit about it. Yeah, so he would record conversations with family members. He started this in 2022 and then still going on. Record conversations, like very casual conversations with family member, sometimes looking at photographs, materials, or just like remembering. So he would say something that would trigger the memory and then ask about it. And that informed basically his exhibit. The way he put it together is based on those stories, and he created the basically a timeline of like events through photographs. And so you don't see the oral history aspect of it, but the exhibit is based on oral history work and the metadata, the information that was needed to put it together was oral histories as narratives. So again, yeah, I think that's the best I could do to speak about his exhibit. Obviously, it's really stunning, so I did want to go through and show you guys. A lot of it starts from childhood in Palestine, but also it goes to childhood in America, like having kids here and growing your family after moving. So yeah, here's some more photos. He kind of themed it, I think. Um, Again, I wish he was here to speak exactly about his thought process, but he did like collections of photos depending on themes, and this one I think was social life. So you see like fancy photographs of going out or like socializing or doing beauty pageant, I believe, which really speaks to the overall life of a Palestinian in America and even back home. And not, yeah, I think his whole point is to focus on joy and social life, because a lot of times when we talk about Palestinians, especially now, we talk about trauma, we talk about the war, we talk about hardships, but he really wanted to remind us that Palestinians have a full life, including joy and happiness and social activities, and I think that was his point.
Shaka, why was it called a single word? I think he might have told me before, but I don't remember.
Yeah, from what I remember, he was inspired by a poem that was called A Single Word, and I believe the poem was about. Mm, no, I'm gonna have to search that later. Yeah, it was based on a poem basically that spoke to his project. So I think it was more about like experiencing what you're seeing and taking that in rather than like it being written out for you, because also he didn't use any like written material for this exhibit. It was just purely like visual. I might be wrong, but this is from what I remember from our conversation. And that takes us to the end. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you were inspired somehow to do to get creative with oral history and try something new and experiment. And that's really the point. And share it with others and get feedback. I do want to open it up for discussion. So I know there must be a lot of questions regarding oral history work, but also like creative models. So the floor is yours.
I have a question here.
Go ahead.
Honorary, how are you? I'm Ben.
Can you hear?
Can you hear?
Because I have a microphone too.
Yeah, please.
And thank you. I was not a lot of his choices was tonight, but thank you for showing up. Okay, Shanti, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I was wondering, we used in our poster, we used the graphic design of the maps. I think that's an exhibit at your museum, and it said, "Where is your family from?" And half of it was, more than half was African. So I was wondering, you know that graphic I'm talking about? I got it off the page.
Was it the map? Are you referring?
Where Palestinians journey from, I guess.
Mhm.
And so I was just wondering if you remember that graphic. I thought that was interesting because there's a lot of Northern Africa that they came from. So I thought you could talk about that a little bit if you don't remember what I'm talking about.
Mm. Yeah, so basically that map exhibit that you're seeing that up on the poster was actually our map, a huge part of our wall at the museum. Right when you enter, that map was up, like physically up. And during the tours, we use it a lot to speak about migration patterns and where Arab Americans come from. And that really, we wanted to highlight how diverse the Arab world is. And so there are 22 Arab countries in the region, and a lot of them are very, very different to each other, including like the religious practice, the language, the a lot of the similarities as well, right? Like the culture, the food, things like that. But so yeah, like for example, North Africans versus like people from the Levant, there's a lot of variations in religious life. So you have like Muslims, but you also have Catholics, you have Orthodox, you have Maronites, very different and many different religions in that region as well, different languages because some ethnic people have stayed there and like pre Arabs, pre Arabic, you know, and have been there for a long time, and so they identify differently as well. And so when we refer to the map, we basically want to be like, look how big the space is. Look at all these countries, and we kind of give like examples of what comes from each country, who's there, like what languages are spoken, things like that. I think it's just to really show diversity again.
Any other questions?
We also have one online.
Good evening. This is Tamia here in the Great Hall. So you mentioned the starting oral history. You can start by making posts on Instagram. But I'm wondering, like a lot of the groundwork seems to be starting conversations. So how do you do that? And also the organization of information. Like, how do you organize information to kind of know what you have and what is it that would categorize it as, okay, this is something working towards, like creating oral history here.
Yeah. Yeah, great question. Thank you for that. Yeah, so basically, oral history starts with conversations. You are correct. So you want to connect with people around you. So I find it really easy for people to start with family members. So usually start speaking to grandma, grandpa, aunties, and just, asking them about the past and asking them if they'd be okay to do an oral history, to tell you about this, where you would record it. So a lot of it is basically just gauging like who is there that I can interview. So once you get your person and they've agreed to be recorded and for their story to be shared, you can just start recording them, doing the interviews, coming up with your questions and we're doing the interview itself, recording it, making sure your material is backed up on at least like two different places. And then if you want to use like a spreadsheet or whatever, however you use to organize your data, I guess, as is your preference. Like I use a spreadsheet where I'm like putting each person's name, a short description of their story, when was the interview collected, when was it done, what is the story, like time period, things like that. And then how you present it is like if you're doing Instagram posts, then you would map out, you would do it in advance. So you'd like schedule, for example, like the first post, then you're scheduling, thinking about like what's going to be next and third one. So you want to kind of have a structure in your head before like actually publishing it. Um, and that really depends on you as a person, like how you organize your information. Again, maybe writing an outline for it before starting, and at least having a few good interviews done where you can take clips from. Um, Obviously, a lot of these projects are, I said, like very DIY, so they're very much on the go. So a lot of times people like would start it, like put the page up, and then just as they go, as they talk to people, as they do interviews, they post more. So it's like a long-term project as well. So you don't have to do like, oh, I need 15 interviews right now. No, like it can start with a few and then you can build on it. So that's the good thing about it. Does that
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, let's see.
Shatha, many of the students here are not old enough to remember acidic paper. Many of the photographs when I was small are faded and yellowed. And many of the newspaper articles, magazine articles are
Yeah.
yellow. Anything that yellows means it's acidic paper, it will disintegrate. So you have to think about that when you are putting together regular scrapbooks nowadays, or when you're putting the pictures in boxes and storing them up in the attic for some time when you have time to do it, or when you are just not doing anything with them.
Mm.
So that's where I think digital scrapbooking really is good, because once you put it up on the whatever digital thing that you put it up on, you can change it around, you can add, you can delete, and so forth. But at least the pictures will be there. They will hopefully be the same colors. They will not have faded out like pictures of the 1960s.
Hmm.
I have curled and yellowed. They will be usable.
Yeah.
And
So, and one of the things we were talking about with Elena Shabbat, we were asking her if she had any photographs of her father. That's okay. Any photographs of her father, and she had none. She had only two photographs of her father, so she had no record. I mean, there's no record of their family coming to St. Croix, except for those two photographs, which we shared in our presentation. So that's why it's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a good point. And I think that's where like digitizing your materials, your family archive is really important. And even if the photograph itself is gone, like not all hope is lost, because people have memories of these events, and they have these stories in them, in their head, and it takes something to like trigger the memory, right? So maybe like asking questions around an event, or some old object or something like that, and asking people if they remember what it was like, what happened. So even if unfortunately photographs get lost, and I really hope that you're all digitizing your family archive like immediately. But anyways, you can gain a lot of that information through oral history by asking the elderly in our families about these events, about these items. So I think it just takes curiosity. So get curious, look around your house. What is something that you don't know, but you think maybe someone else in your family knows? So for example, my grandma has this really old like tea set. And I'm always like curious about it. And I was what is this? It's so pretty, but like how'd you get it? And she ended up telling me that she brought it all the way from Baghdad, which is where my family's from. And it was like a wedding gift that she has. So it's just such a beautiful thing, and it took that question, right, to be curious and ask. And now I know the story behind this item. Um, but yeah, photographs. So if you do have a family archive, like paper material, or anything physical, feel free to reach out to us at the museum, because we do have a curatorial department, and I can connect you with them, and they can give you advice on how to properly store these items, and what are like some tips you can do to preserve it. So obviously everything has a lifetime a limit, but there um, you can prolong that with the right preservation techniques. Oh, we do have one on Zoom online. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you so very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I want to thank you for this presentation. It was excellent. And I also want to thank the Society for Virgin Islands Historians for inviting you for it, because it's so different from what we've heard in the past. And this is really so beautiful. I've learned so much from your presentation. So I have a couple of questions. First, it's clear that you just can't start to record history, record these things, because if you want to have a meaningful history, it has to be orderly, it has to be systematic, as you said, it has to be thought out. Are there any sites that you're aware of besides you just going on YouTube to see if there are any how-to videos? Are there any sites that you can suggest that people who want to do this
Mhm.
can go and find some meaningful information about how to.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I use a lot is the Oral History Association guide on doing oral history. They do have like a beginner guide, and they also have a list of resources. So I would say start by reading a couple of books about doing oral history work, just to get an idea of what it takes, what it is, how people have done it before. And you don't have to do a deep dive research, nothing like that, but getting familiar what the field, like what's done in the field, I think is very important. But yeah, check out their website, check their guide, Oral History Association. Go under resources. I think they have a really good one. Obviously Denise over here has a lot of good information on that, as she teaches oral histories work to her students, and also Betsy is very familiar with that. So I know we have experts in the room that can also guide us on this. The museum, I do have some questions, I guess, a sample of questions I can share with you if you're interested. I have a consent form I can share with you. I mean, I'm happy to do that from the museum. You might be able to like adjust it depending on your project needs and the location, things like that. So yeah, please connect with me afterwards. I'll put my email in the chat, and I can share also some more information with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suggest the Oral History Association, we have a selection of books like Oral History for the Family Historian. That's what I use in my class. It's very good. And I can share that with you. I've turned it into sheets that I give kids to start with. So yeah.
Great. Thank you. And I wanted to ask, do you know if locally in the Virgin Islands, whether we have groups of individuals of Arab history who are indeed chronicling their family histories and so forth? It's so very important, especially when you see what's happening politically over in the East.
Absolutely.
And our hearts bleed when we see the destruction of culture, and it's so important then to have these records. As right now, people need to start doing that so that we don't lose that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So could I ask one other question?
Mm.
Have the local Arab community been sharing with the rest of the Virgin Islands more about their history and culture? Is this something that we can look forward to?
Yeah, so from what I know, most of the interviewees that I've talked to just didn't really have a time and place to share about their culture and history like that. So a lot of them were very excited to do the oral history interview so that can be published and can be shared with others. And so the Palestinian Friendship Alliance is hosting an event on
Association. I keep making that
sorry,
mistake.
association. My bad. It's kind of tongue twister. Anyways, they are hosting a festival of some sort, an event on November 20. Yes, they're all right. Sorry about the name. Would you like to share about the event?
Sure.
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue. This is Liz Goggins, who's the executive director of the Virgin Islands Palestinian Friendship Association, and she's going to take a few minutes, perfect timing, to talk about the event on the 23rd.
Awesome.
Before I start, I want to say hello to Gwen Molinar. Gwen and I served in the League of Women Voters a whole lifetime ago. How are you doing, Gwen?
Fine, just fine. Delighted to see you.
Oh, here. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn my back now. Okay, on November 23rd, the Virgin Islands Palestinian Friendship Association is having a friendship festival. And the 29th is actually Virgin Islands Palestinian Friendship Day, which coincides with the UN Day of Palestinian Acknowledgement. I forget the exact title of the day. But that is that's starting August Day, so we know not to interfere with that. So we're having our friendship festival the week before the Sunday. The idea behind the festival is for the Palestinian community and the local community to get to know each other better. We have We have a gentleman coming from Tampa who is an excellent chef baker, and he is going to be making Palestinian desserts. And if you haven't had them yet, oh my God. Just a little insight, I have type 1 diabetes and I take a lot of extra insulin when there's Palestinian desserts. So, but the whole idea is friendship and sharing culture. We do have lined up for entertainment. We have fire training. We have, and pardon me because I mess this up all the time. We did quadrille dancers. We have a dance troupe coming from, I believe, Michigan, a Dakota dance group. And those two groups will be dancing together, teaching each other local Crucian dancing, quadrille dancing, and the Palestinian dancing. We have classical touch, Toby Dorina and Pio will be performing. Is, of course, we will have lots of Palestinian food. We will have lots of local food. So there'll be all kinds of things going on.
Say where it is.
It is,
And the time.
the time is noon until 6. It will be at the Ag Fairgrounds and it will be in the section closest to the complex where they do this Saturday morning market, normally where they have most of the food during the Ag Fair. So we'll be up there. We are looking for vendors. If anybody is interested in vending, we do have some food vendors ready. So we're looking for arts and crafts, jewelry, anything that, be creative. And there will be in the morning, beginning probably around 11 o'clock, there'll be a workshop on doing oral history. That's going to be right before the event begins.
Shop will be.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, she will be here, she'll be leading that. So we have a lot, yes. So we have a lot going on, hopefully you'll all come out. I will share with Denise and everybody the flyers, which will be coming out in the next couple of days. And if anybody wants any information, I will give you my phone number, you can write it down, especially if you know anybody that's interested in being a vendor. 340-771-4420. And you'll see that on the flyers and things. Everybody on St. Croix has my phone number. So, okay, hope to see you all there.
And
Shatha, can you talk a little bit about what you after the oral history workshop, you're going to have a little booth and you have a social media person with you. Can you talk about what you're going to do?
Yeah, of course. First of all, I'm really excited for this. So thank you for putting this great event together, Liz, and the team, of course. So the oral history workshop will start again before the event, and it'll be just presenting about oral history work, but also it'll be hands-on, so practicing to do some of the work yourself. So I encourage you all to come if you have a project in mind and want to get hands-on. So afterwards, we will be, me and my colleague, her name is Yula Nassif, and she will be joining me. She's a photographer and a videographer, also a social media specialist. She'll be joining me to table at the event. So we'll be representing the museum, the work we do at the museum, but also we'll have different things happening. So Yola will be doing many interviews with individuals. So she'll be like asking a question or two, or just fun little questions for social media, and that will be posted on our page to share about this event. So you're all welcome to participate if you're there. We'll also have a map activity at the booth. Basically, we're gonna have a huge map, and we'll ask people about their family origins, like where did your family migrate from? What's basically where did you come from historically or recently if you're an immigrant. And so you can basically take a pushpin, do like a yarn. Denise, am I explaining it right? Take a yarn and then like track where you started and where you ended up. So most of it, like for Palestinians, they'll start in Palestine and they'll be now in the Virgin Islands. And that way we can really see like a visual of migration patterns. And so also that will be documented to the museum. It'll be photographed and
low tech and high tech. Low tech and high tech.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be having some information, so it's a small like booklet, some things you can get yourself involved with at the museum. So just information, and we're happy to chat with individuals. Also, I hope to recruit some Arab Americans to do more oral histories for this project. So I'll have a sign up sheet for oral histories for anyone interested in participating. That way, I really hope to engage with people in person and record their stories. Especially, I'm hoping the elderly who might not be comfortable doing something like a Zoom interview. But of course, it's open to all. So yeah, so multiple things happening, but we're excited to just be there and meet everyone and chat with everyone and just see what the culture of the Virgin Islands, really immerse ourselves.
Any other questions for Shatha?
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Gina Saruji, and I was born and raised here, but my family came from Lebanon at the turn of the century and settled in the Midwest of the US before my father came down here. So we have a lot of family in like Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and some in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to be up there, and I'd like to come to the museum. So if you would like to exchange
Of course.
contact information.
Oh, okay.
That's amazing. Yeah, would love to welcome you to the museum. Also, just a clear point. So far, I've done Palestinian oral histories for this collaboration with the Virgin Islands. But really, this project is open to all Arab Americans. So if you're from Lebanon or Iraq or anywhere from the Middle East, you're welcome to come to us, and we'll do the oral history for you and publish it and everything like that. But again, if you're not from the region, we're happy to have those conversations and guide you with your oral history project, because wherever you come from, recording that family story, recording that narrative is essential. So I'm always available to help people walk through their project.
Any other questions for Shatha?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will see her. She's gonna be here for a few days, so she can fit in some oral history stuff as well as participate in the event. So thank you so much for coming, everybody, and don't forget to get a snack when you go out. Thank you very much, Liz. Remembering snacks, because I don't do them. I eat them, but I don't do them.
Thank you, Shatha.
Yeah, thanks, Shatha.
Thank you, guys. See you all later.
Okay, have a great night. Bye.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.